All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, a 3 days out physique update from HorseMD, aka Marcelo De Angelis. Now, as you guys know, if you watched the previous videos that we did about Marcelo, he was hospitalized recently. He lost 9 kilos while in the hospital with whatever virus it was that he had. He wasn't very specific as to what it was. We can assume, but losing 9 kilos in the hospital is a lot, especially when it's 1 week out from the show. This was like within 10 days of him having to step on stage this weekend at his pro debut at the Expo Pro Super Show in Classic Physique. And I think, honestly, this is one of the most anticipated Classic Physique debuts that we've had in a very long time. So the question is, now that he's, or at least he's looking to be recovered, now that he's recovered, is he going to be able to deliver when he competes this weekend? Is he going to win his pro debut? Because again, if he wins this show, that means he's going to the Olympia. That is his Olympia qualification. So it's a big deal, this pro debut of his. Because we talk a lot about the circumstances in Classic Physique, and we see this in men's open bodybuilding too, but a lot of these new guys, when they're really good, they can have a really fast rise to fame. It could really be as simple for HorseMD. We see how crazy he looks on Instagram. He obviously looks great in pictures. He looked really good at his at the show where he turned pro, but it could really just be he turns pro, does his pro debut, wins that easily. All of a sudden, he's on the Olympia stage. Imagine his first Olympia, he takes a top 6 spot. Now he's one of the top names in Classic Physique, all in the span of just a matter of months. Within under a year, he might become a really recognizable name in that division. So this is the kind of thing that I get excited about, because right now, or at least a few months ago, not a whole lot of people had HorseMD on their radar for Classic Physique. Or at least not a lot of Americans did. But in this physique update, he says he's weighing 104.5 kilos at 3 days out from the show, which is pretty heavy for a classic guy. I don't know his exact height, but that's about 230 pounds. So it seems like he was able to, and you know, that's where things are going to get a little bit dicey, is he was able to put, I guess, some weight back on. So we'll see if losing that weight and then having to kind of put some weight back on and then having to diet back down and peak for the show, if that's going to really throw off his physique or not. I would imagine, it's not a good thing that he had to do that, but we'll see. He looks pretty good in these updates. He looks a little bit off for 3 days out, but I guess we're going to find out here this weekend if he can still deliver, and maybe he will still win his pro debut and go straight to the Olympia stage. Who knows? But best of luck to HorseMD. Right now, you know, these Brazilian guys in Classic, they are not messing around. Now, next up in the news, speaking of Classic Physique, let's talk a little bit more about Kalecinski. So yesterday, or a couple days ago, on Marcus Rule's YouTube channel, they were speaking in German about the possibility of Kalecinski eventually moving up to men's open bodybuilding from Classic Physique. And they talk a little bit about the weight limits in Classic, how is getting close to that weight limit, and how is expressing interest in switching to men's open bodybuilding to be able to push his physique further than he could push it within the restrictions of Classic Physique. So did clarify on his story. Someone asked him about it, and he says, "I will do Classic." And he goes on to say, "Aesthetics is what I love, and I still have 8 pounds to grow." He was 214 pounds at the Arnold, and 222 is his weight cap. So that was the only part of the interview that I didn't really think translated very well, or at least was translated very well for me. From German to English was the part where he was talking about the weight caps in Classic Physique. The translation to me seemed like he was saying he was already pretty much at his weight cap and felt like there wasn't much room for him to improve because he was already just below it. But 8 pounds... if he's 214, he's 222. That's a pretty significant room to improve within that division for a while. So I would say he's probably got a few more years at least before he should even be thinking about switching to men's open bodybuilding, because 8 pounds is a lot of room to do better in Classic. And honestly, you know, I said this in the last video, I see as a Classic guy. He could be a guy that's like a Chris Bumstead, that not only is a really good competitor and has a really good physique that fits well for the division, but he, to me, looks like a guy that could be like a face of Classic Physique. Like when you look at you see a Classic Physique competitor. You see like this golden boy, just like a representative of that division. He was just on the cover of Muscular Development, and that's kind of the image that I'm talking about. Is what he projects, I think, is really good for that division. Not to say what everybody else projects isn't, but I just don't think his look would translate as well into men's open bodybuilding as well as it fits for Classic Physique. So whatever decides to do, best of luck to him. But it looks like for now he's staying in Classic, and I think that's the right move. Now, next up in the news, we got what is supposedly a recent physique update from Hadi Choopan. A lot of people have been sharing and discussing this one. This is about 6 months out from the 2022 Mr. Olympia. And in this update, this is kind of one of the first ones that Hadi has posted that looks like it's getting quite a fair amount of criticism about A, kind of lack of improvements, and B, there's a lot of people pointing out his right leg. Now, maybe it's just the angle, but in these pictures, especially this one here, the front relaxed, there looks to be a bit of an imbalance from right to left, the right one being smaller. And I agree with that. You know, I saw a few people comment that, and I saw people discussing it, and I can definitely see what they're talking about. It does look like there's something going on with his right leg. Who knows if it's an injury or what. But I would say there is a noticeable, tangible difference between the two. And then the other thing that people, they always like to point this out is the shape of his delts. And in this front relaxed, again, if you go up and look at his delts, people talk about maybe he's using too much oil or SEOs in his delts, and they do look a little bit wonky in this picture, I'm not going to lie. Especially if you look at the front relax and then like the front lat spread, they're starting to look a little bit misshapen now. Now I think it's getting to a point where I think something needs to be done. I think he needs to slow down, or whatever it is he's doing, stop doing that. Because now the shape is just starting to just look way off. And I'm genuinely interested to see what the future progression of Hadi's career is going to be, because he's already done so well at the Olympia. He's already been knocking at the door. He's already been a top placer. I think there's years you could have made an argument for him winning the show. But the question is he going to be somebody that keeps knocking on that door for the next couple years until he eventually moves up? Or is he someone that's going to get further and further away from that door as the years go on and maybe not fix his physique, not improve, but just be consistent? Because so far he's been extremely consistent with his conditioning. But like I said, I just think there's some things going on in the shoulders in this video. It really looked weird to me, the imbalance in the legs. I don't know. It makes me a little bit concerned for how he's going to look this year. Now, next up in the news, another guy that we're going to see on the stage in the very near future is Akim Williams. So the next time that we're going to see Akim on stage, I believe, is going to be the Tampa Pro in August. He's back working with Justin Miller, who's the guy that coached George the Bull Peterson, of course. And Justin posted this update, this front double bicep, and I thought, obviously, Akim has very impressive biceps just looking at any picture of Akim. It's nothing that you need a measurement on. But the reason why I found this picture so impressive was the measurement that Justin gave in the caption, 23 inches. And he's what now? So that's less than 8 weeks away from Tampa, something like that, to have 23-inch arms as you're prepping for a show. I think it's just pretty crazy. Akim's a guy, you know, like I said in the past, he's a guy that struggled with being consistent. He's a guy that struggled with conditioning, but he's always had a Mr. Olympia winner physique. He's always had all the muscle in the world to win any of these shows. It's just a conditioning thing for him. And you can see not only does he have all the muscle in the world, but he's got a really impressive proportion to him. I mean, his arms are crazy. His V-taper's crazy. Crazy wide, thick back. Pretty small waist for a guy of his size. Pretty good legs. When he puts it together, and if he puts it together, I think everybody should be scared. And I'm excited for the Tampa show now. I can't wait to see what Akim is able to put together now working with Justin. And the final story that I've got for you guys today, the latest physique update from GoodVito. Vitaly Ugonikov looking very impressive there in Brazil. We know that the next time we're going to see him compete, he's going to be going for a pro card in September. So we're going to be looking at him pretty closely in the coming months to see how he's looking as we get closer and closer to his debut. He's now in the NPC, or he will now be competing in the NPC, looking to get an IFBB Pro League card. And in this update, at least, it looks like he's certainly on track to do that. I can't think of very many amateur bodybuilders right now off the top of my head that look anything like GoodVito looks. Vitaly is so far and above what we're used to seeing from amateur guys and from guys in their early 20s in general. I will actually be shocked if he does not do well as an amateur bodybuilder. I think he's going to get to a pro card relatively easily and relatively quickly, and I think he's going to rise in the pro ranks relatively quickly, just like I was talking about earlier with HorseMD Marcelo. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about all the stories we discussed in today's video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet already. Make sure you click that bell notification icon. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button and like the video if you enjoyed it. And as always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.